Let's see how much multitasking one can do, huh? All right, I'm going to let people in, and we can get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
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 Good.
Hi. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all. Nice to see some familiar faces. Hi, and some new faces. Some people I haven't seen for a while, so that's really nice. Thanks for putting on your cameras. It's always nice to see some real humans on a Friday. So thank you. For those of you that don't know me, haven't met me yet, I'm Esme. I'm the founder of Considered Capital. I'm the one who's sending all these emails. So it's very nice to see you all. We're going to have a very hopefully fun and interesting hour today, digging into a particular type of funding from a particular place. We're speaking to Coralus about their impact loans. But very quickly, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a introduction and update into what we do. And then we're going to hand over to Coralus. We're going to dig into the good stuff today. If you have questions at any point, do just put them in the chat. Raise your virtual hand, raise your actual hands if your camera is on, and we will make sure that we get your questions answered. These sessions are very informal, so just go with the flow. For those of you that don't know, we are Considered Capital. We are on a mission to raise funding confidence across the globe. We've helped about 300 entrepreneurs understand and access alternative funding. So this is funding that sits outside venture capital. We are on a mission to show people that there is a world outside what they see in startup magazines and in the media. There are different ways to fund your businesses, perhaps more founder-friendly, more aligned with your goals and your mission and your ideas around what an exit looks like for those of you that are impact-focused in any way. We do this in several different ways. So we have our alternative funding school. Lots of you, I see, are some of our graduates or even some of our current participants, because we are almost halfway through our 8th cohort with 40 really wonderful female and non-binary founders. We also have our live funding database, which has about 300 funding opportunities for those of you that are in the UK. And we have helped people raise all sorts of financing, including Coralus's loan. This is our funding database. As I said, we've got about 300 opportunities in there right now. We provide grants, accelerator programs, prizes, and we are adding loan products this month. So that's why we are featuring Coralus today. We're going to be running lots of different events with different funders that we can showcase what this world looks like outside, potentially things that you know. We can share more about our database afterwards. But today, we are focusing on Coralus. Some of you may have already heard of Coralus, come across Coralus. Some of you might be actively putting your applications through. The deadline is Sunday. Some of you I see are also activators. I'm also an activator in Coralus, which means that we participate and provide funding to keep these loan products going. We are going to really just dig into explore what exactly Coralus is, what these loans are, and then we are in 30 minutes, we're going to hear from the wonderful Trudie, which some of you may already know her. She's got a fantastic business and she benefited massively from Coralus. It might be that Coralus is a good fit for you, it might not be, but we're going to understand what it is, how it works, generally how loans work. What I found, particularly working with female entrepreneurs, is that we can be, some of us, a bit more risk averse when it comes to debt and loans. So we want to break some of those assumptions today and see who loans might be a good fit for when, and how we can break down some of those fears so that we can access the kind of financing that is right for us. So I'm going to be here in the background, attempting to keep Zoom smooth. And I'm going to hand over to the Coralus team now. As I said, if you've got questions, thoughts, reflections, feedback, you don't agree with something, then do participate and let us know. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Esme. Hi, everybody. So nice to see you. I'm Vicki Saunders. I'm here in Ottawa, Canada today. And Finn is also with us. Finn, do you want to wave?
Hello.
And Finn is in California. So Finn is up at 4 a.m. for all of you. This is how much we care. We love entrepreneurs so much and founders. And we also have Amrita, who's here in Ottawa, who I'm going to see shortly at a breakfast event, which is why I need to run off. And Janaki, I think you might be catching a train. So we've got some folks from our team. There she is. She's on a train. So these are some of the folks from the Coralus team. And hi to activators who are in the community. So just a little bit about us. First of all, I founded Coralus in 2015 with a very deep desire to fund. I think someone has their camera on, if you wouldn't mind to mute it. There we go. Thanks so much. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life and had literally every kind of funding there is, including taking a company public on the stock exchange in Canada, and just witnessed all of the bugs in the system, as it were, just all of the crazy games that go around funding, all the extractive behavior, and people with money. And not everybody, but this is like a very big generalization, but most money is there to like extract from founders who are doing work. And from my perspective, I had always been doing what we now call social impact work. How do you better the world? And how do you design new business models that benefit all? And from my perspective, that labor should not be extracted from. The labor that you are doing with your business to create a better world should literally be funded. And so we have a philosophy underneath all of this, that the work you're doing is important, especially when it benefits all. We only fund ventures who are finding new ways to build new systems so we can get different results out of business, instead of just kind of this crazy hockey stick growth narrative and trying to make as much money as possible and exiting. So it's, how do you enrich communities? How do you create better business models? And so because of that approach, we charge 0% interest on our loans. We do 5 year, 0% interest loans, and there's no extraction. In fact, there's like just a giant love hug around all of you when you get accepted into this community, whether or not you're selected as a venture. If you join our community, the vibe here is called radical generosity. So we have a community of thousands of people, women and non-binary folk from around the world, who desperately want to see a new world and are very committed to business being a path of transformation for that. But we do also fund all different structures. So social enterprises, not-for-profits, charities. We are structure agnostic as long as you can pay back a loan. So you need to have recurring revenue to be able to service a loan. I saw some of the questions at the early days that people were asking, can it convert into equity? We don't do convert into equity. We are like all about focusing on recurring revenue. So someone who's able to pay this back. It's very patient capital over time. And then you get this sort of benefit of the entire community supporting you with your business. So I see a question in here, what regions? For this round right now that we're talking about that ends on Sunday, you need to be in the UK, Canada, or the US. Next year, anywhere in the world. We're completely opening up globally, so you can be from any country, but for now, that's how it works. And so it's where your business is based. So your business needs to be, that's not where you do the work, but it's where your business is actually like incorporated, or where you're set up, Canada, US, or the UK. And so Finn was going to talk a little bit about the application. The criteria is you have to have at least in UK terms 40K in revenue this year, up to 2 million, and be majority woman or non-binary owned and led, and then be able to articulate how you're creating a better world. very open. And there's 10 questions in the application form. That's it. Very simple. No pitch decks, no attachments, no jargon. Keep it really simple. And one of the reasons the selection process here is done very differently than in other places, usually you have like this little group of 5 experts who are like tuned into market conditions and like, these are the latest things and all we're funding is AI because that's everyone's talking about AI. I'm like, well, we're not that. We have, hundreds of women that go online to vote, and we vote from our hearts and our intuition based on what we'd like to see in the world. It's super hard to game anything we're doing because you're getting like this diverse community of people tuning in to what they care about. And it's hard to even know what people will vote for each year. I remember the first couple of times we did this, I'd be like, what? Why do we vote for that? Like, I just didn't get it at all. And then you just watch when a group collectively are passionate about something, it's like everybody's resources go to that thing they care about. And it really dramatically changes your conditions for success because you have this huge team of people that are passionate about what you're doing, wanting to support. So whether it's amplifying what you're doing, becoming a customer, talking to their friends about it, opening doors, bringing their expertise, etc. So this collective decision-making is very, very rich, and it kind of creates expansive conditions for you and your business. And the other kind of vibe here is you can join the community for as low as 33 Canadian dollars a month, which is like, I don't know, 15 pounds. 17 pounds, like it's so inexpensive. And you come into this community, and one of the first questions you'll hear is, how can I help you? What do you need? If you go to LinkedIn, you'll see the hundreds and hundreds of people that have put I'm an activator at Coralus on their LinkedIn. When you join, people come and welcome you, and you can literally reach out and find folks and ask them for support, introduce yourself. So this is like the focus here. There's no like getting ahead of each other. We don't have like this competitive mindset. It's very collaborative because we know that the way to create a better world is to do it together and share whatever we have in abundance. For me, that happens to be connections. I am like, my dream is to be one step removed from anybody anyone ever needs to reach on the planet, including myself. And so I have just a ton of connections. And if you reach out to me and say, there's someone that you're connected to that I'd like some support with, I will make that introduction. So hit me up, connect with me on LinkedIn. Would love to hear from you. I'm just going to pause for a sec, look at if there are any questions here. Yes, it has to be women-led. 15K, Janik's answering those questions. Explain non-binary, Finn.
Non-binary to me means that I do not feel like I am a male or a female, and that I fall somewhere in the middle of that. And the way that manifests for me is I use they, them pronouns, as well as any sort of term like ladies or woman doesn't really fit me. So Coralus is a space that also is great for people who identify as non-binary or outside of the binary.
Thank you very much, Finn. I think one of the things here is we are quite committed as a community. We are very committed as a community to move capital to those who have been most pushed to the margins. The systems and structures we have in place are biased deeply towards a very, very small percentage of the population that looks a certain way and usually has a hoodie. And that's not what we're here to do. We're very, very focused on like who is most excluded, where like the most interesting ideas are always coming from the edges. That's what we know about innovation as well. So we're looking for people with different perspectives who are saying, I don't understand why healthcare is the way it is. And they see some niche in there and they get in there and they come up with amazing ideas. And people, you kind of read these applications sometimes and go, oh my God, doesn't that already exist? That's a brilliant idea. It's kind of like that, makes so much sense. And because, more than 50% of the population have not gotten funding in the past, like we're living in this world that is just like designed for such a small portion of the population, and it's clearly not working. We have to have like a much more robust perspective and diversity. We know that all ecosystems are thriving when they're diverse, and we have a very monoculture with a mono narrative in the world. Scale, go big or go home. All those things have been crushing us, and we have an economic model that is actually harming humans. we have a work narrative that's harming humans. So we have all kinds of ideas that we've supported. We supported over 190 businesses this way in the last 9 years, across 5 countries. And we've just decided that we're going to pool all of our money together as of next year and just open up globally and start calling in these ideas. And we have about $20 million circulating right now. Loans are, they're fairly small range, but so they can be up to about like sort of 80K, 80,000 pounds roughly. But they're based on where you are at this point in time. We're also finding that some of the folks that are getting selected may not at this time need money as their primary thing. And we have a phenomenal coaching program as part of this to help you get to a certain stage, and then perhaps money can flow if needed. There's also resources across the whole community where people thought they needed X dollars, but they get introduced to someone who brings them a huge customer base, and boom, they didn't need the funding. They in fact got customers because they were recognized in the community by people who have resources and have connections and help get them going. Okay, so let me just, our startup has a female co-founder, but is only 30% women owned. Yeah, so not eligible in this case. And maybe I'll just speak to that for a second. We have seen, this happened to me too, but over and over, we want to move that capital to folks that have control to implement their vision. And very oftentimes we see women get sort of like edged out, especially as things scale up. Communities of people are like, oh, let's put in someone who knows what they're doing. And we've seen women moved out of those things. So we want to at least start with a majority position so that we can like really support you in implementing what you'd like. By a not-for-profit organization, 2/3 are female, 2/3 of the exec team are female. Yeah, so I think Ruth, if you can just show your cap table or show what that looks like and prove that it's majority, that works for us. And Finn is your person on this who can help with. Yeah, there you go. Does anyone want to just come off camera, not off camera, but like off mute and ask any questions out loud? Put up your hand or just open up if you'd like to, or put more questions in the chat. Anyone have anything?
I was just going to say, oh, sorry, I just jumped straight in.
Go ahead. It's good.
I'm finding this really like empowering because when I first started my entrepreneurship journey in 2017, I had left a startup where I faced a lot of bias, gender, race related, and I felt very committed to like changing this. And every investor I met was like, this is a bad idea. No one is going to invest in this consulting or this training. Like, you're basically going to force men to admit that they're sexist. Why would anyone want to do that? And I felt so gaslit going through that process of like pitching with VCs. And it was really hard to find like women investors at that time in London. I mean, now there are more and more, and there are a lot more angels, but it took so much courage and confidence to even just keep going when like so many of the first few people I met who were supposed to be like powerful authorities in my industry were basically saying my idea was dumb and stupid and no one would ever want to do it. So yeah, I'm so happy that Coralus is here. I'm definitely signing up as a member. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. Yeah, this is my experience as well. I mean, there is just such a bias of like the way to do things. And we are like incredibly imaginative human creatures. There's so many other ways to do things than the one way that we think. And if we look at the results of what this singular way of doing business is, 4 people have the same wealth as half the planet. Like, this is not the model. This is the model to extract everything and leave everyone else behind, doing all the work. So yeah, we're desperately looking for like fresh new ideas. And thank you very much. Sandra, do you want to share your up?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, you just want to maintain your capital base. Is that the business model that you have? You don't ask for interest, but you do ask for repayment of capital.
We do ask for repayment of capital. And yeah, I mean, we want to see a different world and we want our money to go towards that. So literally people in this community are like putting their capital in to be shared with others. And you are like a temporary custodian of this capital and use it to get where you need to go and the community to get where you need to go. And so we're not trying to even maintain our capital. We're just not in the money game. We're in the change the world game. We're in the transform communities game and supporting the dreamers and the doers that are out there.
Wow.
I know it's very weird, but like this is the future. Welcome to the future.
Like you.
Well, so our
like Coralus. Others like Coralus.
We're working on that. Like we've been there are so many people out there that look at this and go, this is so interesting. We like it's at a small little bits of capital, crowdfunded and crowdsourced and brought together by a community that would like to see things differently. We're literally freeing our money to show ourselves and prove there's another way of doing this. Because this like accumulation of capital and holding on to it is a sickness that makes us feel insecure. We're marketed every single day. Scarcity, scarcity. There's enough money to go around. There's enough of everything. It's just badly distributed. So this is a new model of distribution, which we hope will catch on. But yeah, it's been a little slow getting uptake for like, we were just hoping that everyone would just replicate this. We had 70 countries within our first year that were like, oh my God, please come here, replicate this. But we don't want to be in the deep logistics business of doing this in every country. We'd like other people to, so everything, we share everything about how this is going on. We just did a coaching thing where we just share all of our philosophies and all the resources. All right, let me get to Lorianne. Do you want to
Thank
jump
you.
in? Thanks.
Hi, thank you. Good morning. Please, can you give some examples of the sorts of activities that founders have used the capital to fund? To date, we've been going for 5 years and we have bootstrapped all the way. And that's partly because we've always raised enough revenue to cover what we need, but probably not enough. But that has meant that we've probably gone slower than we would have done had we have raised capital. So I'm really interested in the sorts of things that that you've seen this capital used for.
Well, congratulations on bootstrapping and going the pace that fits you, because that's the whole point. Anyone who's going beyond a human pace, beyond your capabilities, beyond your capacities, most of those things flame out. So building a business slowly that lasts over time is the way. And that's where you can actually control the right thing to happen. When you have outside capital, they're forcing you to do things that are like faster than feels right sometimes, which causes all kinds of havoc. So, and it's very hard for me to like literally everything. People have used it for rebranding, for new packaging, for getting into export, for getting out of export, for like there's just literally every single kind of thing. We do not have any perspective on how to use the capital. We trust that you will know how to use the capital, and people often come in saying, here's how I want to use the funds. And after a couple of coaching calls, they're like, oh yeah, that's not what I need. That's not my critical priority, when they get some more support and they actually see, oftentimes people will come and saying, I need it for X. And then when people are voting, they can leave comments for you about how they'd like to help you. And you can ask for the kinds of things that you need. You may get a bunch of stuff for free that you think you needed to pay for. And then you can change how you might deploy capital. So it's, there's just a lot of resources. It's kind of hard to imagine. You walk into a place, most of you have come from a place, if it was anything like me, where you've been picked at a lot and told everything that's wrong with your business, everything that's wrong with you, everything that you don't know how to do. And, oh, you haven't done that before? How do you know you're going to make it? And here you get, oh my God, we love what you're trying to do. How can we help? Like, it's a completely different vibe. You're welcome to opposite land. Welcome to opposite land. And so it's kind of like whatever you need. I'm going to pass up to Isabel and then Jess.
So much. And yeah, I will definitely be joining as a member.
Right.
Because this looks exactly like the kind of community I've been looking for. My question was also around capital use, but firstly around the revenue range requirement as well. So I'm in quite a strange position. I run a company limited by guarantee that has a mission lock. We don't sell a product or service, but we rather provide loans ourselves to refugees who are starting businesses in the UK. So our revenue is currently coming from grant funding. We have repayments. Obviously, we have a really high repayment rate from our borrowers. The loans are currently interest-free. Our only product is interest-free. We're introducing an interest-bearing product and a membership fee later in the year. So when it comes to the recurring revenue question in the application, I don't think I meet those requirements because my revenue is currently a mix of grant funding and those repayments. So would you encourage me to apply at a later date once I have revenue from membership fees and interest, or would I be eligible at the moment is my question.
Yeah, no, I think probably at this stage it's best to just join the community and then see if there can be help from other areas to support you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And that was around the capital use as well. If in future it would ever be eligible to use your loan as lending capital myself to lend on.
Who knows? Make the case.
Okay.
Again, it's like with the community, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jess, then Ignatius.
Hi, thank you. This sounds incredible, and it's actually made me feel very emotional after a very tough year, actually. And coming off a call with an organisation today saying, yes, your product is brilliant, how can we get it to 500 people, but by the way, we haven't got any money. So it feels like a really tough time at the minute. I've also bootstrapped and have recognised that as holding directors' loans as debt within the business, and just wondered if you treat that within the application.
I think I'm having a hard time hearing the question. Did everyone get
Sorry,
that?
so I
Yeah.
bootstrap, but
Yeah.
that is being held as directors' loans that are owed to me within the business. I'm not in a rush to get it back, but would that make us ineligible? Would our debt position make us ineligible?
No, not necessarily. As long as you have recurring revenue. We have folks, applying with debt. That's fine.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Ignatius?
Can you hear me? Thank you so much for your presentation. It's amazing to see an organization such as yours in the current world we live in. My question is around people with an idea, getting those ideas into product. Okay, you talked about businesses generating revenues, but you're ignoring the most important part. A lot of less privileged individuals, they have ideas, but they don't know how to move that idea to businesses. Okay,
Yep.
In my own case, although I'm working on earning income from work, but I want to build a software. This software costing about £15,000. There's no way I can be able to do that without a kind of support. Venture capitalists, definitely they will not be able to help an idea stage businesses. So this is a big problem still not yet addressed.
Yep. Thank you, Ignatius. And so we don't ignore that. It's just the criteria for moving capital specifically to the idea stage isn't where we focus. However, getting folks into the community so they can get through to a stage where they can apply is where we support in our community as well. So I would highly encourage those folks to get into the community as members, as activators is what we call you. And then you start to grow your business. A lot of folks that are not at the revenue range come into the community and then get to know each other, get supported by each other, and then you'll see them apply later. We've seen a lot of that happen. So there's a cycle here of finding this well-resourced community that wants to support. And maybe just one more thing before I jump and then pass to others on the call. We have a new structure that we launched this year called PODS, P-O-D-S, and they're small groups of 5 to 6 individuals that are gathering around common themes. And so we have 90 pods that just launched, and they're going to keep launching each month, where people have said, I'm really focused on how to build a business in a local region that's grassroots supported. There's purpose-led things, there's themed, there's sector focused. There are people that are focused on their inner work, how they're limiting their thinking around this. There are people that want to do business differently, that want to be in communities of other people doing things differently. And then you join into these pods and there's a call a month. So you get into this very nice structure with a good group of people that are working on similar things to you. And that you start to really experience what it's like to be in a community focused way of building business. And I want to just underline how unbelievably healing this is to get out of your mindset. If you have ever said to yourself, I'm just an individual entrepreneur, or I'm just a solo entrepreneur, how that influences your dreaming capacity. You stay smaller when you're oh, I'm just if you've ever said that, please try and remove that from your language. We do a lot of inner work here to understand where we're limiting ourselves. Nobody does anything alone. Nobody. That is a narrative out there that that story keeps you smaller. When you start to do in community and you realize there are people around you all time that want to help you. If we did a thing right now and said how many people would help people on this call, most of you would put up your hand. If someone asked right now, you'd help someone, right? Yeah, lots of nods. But most of us are conditioned to not ever ask for help. And we think, oh, I wouldn't want to bug her. I know Vicky said she has connections, but I'm sure she didn't mean it. She probably just says that all the time. I'm no, it is my greatest joy to have my inbox full of people asking for things. Love it, love it, love it. And so we have to change our way of thinking and our way of doing business, of isolating ourselves and think we have to know everything and that we're alone. When you get into a community, you start talking about what you're doing here, you'll be quite amazed by how many people start to want to help you as you just talk about what you're doing. And it's hard to even imagine the possibilities that are open to you, but you got to kind of break through your way of doing things. And so to change the world, to do things differently, you have to start acting differently. And so we create a sort of safe container for you to like bring your dreams out, which isn't really safe to do in lots of places, like in a lot of business places. And you're like, I'd like to do this. And people are like, how are you going to do that? Have you ever done that before? And then you kind of go, oh, and it's right. So this is a place where like, imagine if people always said, how can I help you? Instead of that doesn't make any sense to me. And how's it going to scale? Anyway, these are just some of the thoughts. I have to jump because I'm going to a breakfast with a bunch of folks in Ottawa. I'm available online. Finn will put my LinkedIn in the chat. Please reach out if you'd like to, if you have any more questions. Esme is like a goddess of like a million things here and can answer questions. I know that Hermina's on here. She's amazing and has been in this community for a while. You're going to hear from Adventure shortly. Finn is like your go-to for all things very detailed about the application. And ask for help from some of the activators that are here. If you want to put up your hand and put it in the chat to just really write your application from your heart. Please do not like cut and paste like boring bios that you think this is the way you're supposed to talk about yourself. Do not do that. Like go, I wake up every morning wanting to solve this thing that makes me crazy because it's this way in the world. And I want to change that. That's what we're looking for. As Finn will say, the mushy gushy stuff works really well here. That like truly like why it really matters to you is why we get excited. Don't give us like an Airbnb for cats one-liner. Don't do that. We like really hate anything you've been trained to like pitch in a certain way. Don't do that here. It just doesn't work. We're like, ugh, another one of these people that have been like brainwashed by the world. We want the people that are like fresh, new, different, showing up as yourself, fully as yourself. Anyway, we're cheering you all on. Amazing. Sandra, I'm going to pass that next question to Finn. Finn, you good to go?
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much.
you, everybody.
Thank
So
you.
nice to meet you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Thank you. I
Bye.
think here as well now.
Sandra.
Yes, Finn, my question is, I'm in the community development world, and I've been, I don't know, I've been shocked to find so many instances where my original ideas, I've made a submission, and my original ideas have, my application's been rejected, but they've taken my ideas and handed them on to other people. Gosh, I can't tell you how unspeakable I find that practice is. Is that something that you, hopefully it's not something that you do?
No, not at all. One of the things that, so your application, if you do decide to apply, every person in our community signs a confidentiality agreement. And that agreement is that you will not share any of the information said on the application out loud. That includes, obviously, we do not steal ideas and make them our own and pass them off.
That's included in the application form?
Yeah, anybody who sees your application has to sign an agreement that states that low bar, but they will not do that, as well as that they will not disclose or share outside of the community.
That's reassuring to hear. However, another organization that I've been looking at, which is supposed to be one of the good guys, they have it as a, I mean, yeah, they have it as part of their agreement. They're baking it into the agreement that, yeah, it's called reuse, just for information of those here. Yeah, and baking it into whatever terms and conditions that you do. I can't remember if every single application I've done has got, you have to agree to terms and conditions, but yes, baking that in. I mean, I'm sorry, you can hear from my voice how dreadful a practice I think it is, but I mean, there's nothing really we can do about it apart from, you know, take the word from Coralus that you are, and you are leading the way forward. So that's me just venting, sorry.
No,
thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. It looks like in the chat someone also had that experience as well. So unfortunately, this is not the first, and I really hope the last. But that's really, I'm so sorry. And I can tell you that that has not ever happened, and our community is full of people who are here not in that lens, and that is not tolerated at all either. So I appreciate you sharing, and I'm really sorry you had that experience. Diana, did you have a question?
Yes. Hi,
Hi.
good day. I'm laying down, y'all, 'cause I'm in pain today, but very happy to be here. I have a question. I'm familiar with Coralus when it was CEO, and I was in the US. Right now, I'm in Malta now. But my question is, do you know, Finn, what percentage of the people who successfully are invested in are over the age of 50?
I don't know exactly offhand, but I know that we have selected ventures that range from across. So it definitely, like, we have a bunch of people who are definitely older. We also have a bunch of people who are, it kind of just varies across. Like last year in the US, we selected a founder who was 12 years old, and then there's we have people who also are in their like late 60s.
Okay, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course. Is there any other questions, or I would love to hear from our venture Trudie.
The question I have is regarding membership. Did you mention is how much per month again?
It is as low as $33 a month. We have just launched a sliding scale a couple months ago.
This is by monthly direct debits, I assume. Yeah.
And Rita, can you jump in and maybe answer that question possibly? Thank you.
Yeah, then for sure. So the membership can be for 33 Canadian dollars, and you just sign up with us,
Okay.
become a member, and then you can attach your preferred card, and then it just gets charged every month.
Thank you. Trudie, so Trudie is one of our ventures from a few years back. Her company is BelleVie, and I would love for you to just start by introducing who you are and who BelleVie is.
Of course I can. Yeah, so hello, it's great to meet everybody here. Lots of faces on the screen. So I'm Trudie Fell, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BelleVie. And we are very fortunate to be within the Coralus community. And a few years ago, we applied successfully to get a loan, an interest-free loan from Coralus. And that was what the draw was. We were attracted to that, but actually we realized that we're in this amazing community, which is so much more powerful than the loan. Yeah, shall I say a little bit about BelleVie, Finn?
Yes, I would love to.
So yeah, so BelleVie supports older people to live their best lives at home. So we provide at-home visiting care. And how we do that, our innovation is in how we work. So you'll all be aware, and it's the same in lots of different countries. So you have the same problem in the UK with care work just being undervalued, it's stigmatized, and people don't want to work in care work, which is a real shame. I worked in care work to support my studies, and I loved it. The chance to put a smile on someone's face, do a job with purpose. You know, my friends were pulling pints in the pub and serving meals and not getting tips. And there I was just, you know, actually having conversations with somebody who was feeling really anxious about their day, and I helped them to feel a bit better about it. Now, if that isn't one of the most fulfilling, purposeful jobs you can have, then I don't know what is. And yet in the UK and in many other countries, we don't have enough people working in care. We have a recruitment and a retention issue in care because people don't like the jobs. So BelleVie's innovation is how we work. We've got a different model, a different way of working that creates fulfilling jobs in care where people are empowered and trusted. And that model, it's inspired by a model called Buurtzorg, which some of you may or may not have heard of, which revolutionized how community nursing was done in the Netherlands, and now provides 60% of the community nursing in the Netherlands. So it's does great things, and it's scaled. And their model is based on having small self-managing teams of nurses or carers. And the people who, those nurses or care workers, they're the ones who make the day-to-day decisions on how to deliver the best care. So they manage themselves. They're not reliant on a faceless person in an office telling them what to do. So it's very much about empowering and decentralizing. So that's where the self-management comes from. So that's the first big difference, self-managing teams. The second big difference is it's very holistic care. Rather than having somebody to come in to change a dressing on a wound after an operation, someone else helping you with your exercises, someone else helping you get up and dressed and washed in the morning. Guess what? If you're 87 living with dementia, that's not going to work very well. It wouldn't work very well with me. So instead, it's about holistic care, getting to know a small team with one person in particular as your main contact, but just a small team, and they will do whatever you need to live your best life at home. So holistic self-managing teams in this decentralized model with no managers or coaches. So a network of coaches to help the teams. So our care workers aren't left to do things by themselves and get stuck. So it's a very different model. And Buurtzorg is often quoted in books about the future of work. It's, there's a spotlight on it. It's great case studies to read about Buurtzorg. But there was no Buurtzorg happening properly at scale in this country. And we thought, hang on a minute, that's not right. We have a growing aging population. We don't have enough care workers. Right, let's bring a bit of that Buurtzorg magic and see what we can do to create fulfilling great jobs in care. So that was about 6 years ago that we had the inspiration. And BelleVie has been running for 5.5 years now. And I'm very proud to say that one of those trophies on the shelf behind me is for the best home care provider in the UK, which we won in March this year. Very pleased with that one. So we have better recruitment and retention stats than the sector average, which is lovely. And our people really enjoy. It's not easy. It's not easy work. There's a huge responsibility. I mean, this is tough work, but people feel they have that professional pride in what they do because they're empowered and trusted. And as a result, the quality of our care is better than others. So we have our net promoter score has been above 90% for the past 3 years, which we're really proud of. And people stay with us because they love the difference that we can make to their lives, the peace of mind that we give to families. There's still lots to do. We're still relatively small. We've got a big presence in Oxfordshire and Northumberland. We've got a smaller presence in Buckinghamshire and Newcastle. So for those UK-based people, you know where we are. I'd love to do more in more areas. We're an accredited real living wage employer, and we pay carers for the whole shift, not just for the time that they're on a visit, which makes us different from the rest of the sector. But that also makes our model expensive. So it's still challenging getting it to pay. Local authorities don't pay enough. We only work with those local authorities who will meet us part way and actually talk to us about how we pay for care differently. That's big. We've got lots of work to do on that. We've just started a 2-year project with one particular council with a grant to subsidise the difference while we co-design models that will meet their needs and not cross our red lines. Aims to try and show how we deliver better outcomes that benefit the NHS. How do we bring them into this picture of financing? So there's a ton of really complicated things to do still, but I'm really proud of what we've done in the last 5 years. And yeah, Finn, do you want me to say a little bit about our Coralus experience?
I was getting lost in listening to you and all your impact and hard work. I totally forgot. Yeah, I would love to hear about like your experience with coaching and being part of the community in general, and then maybe later we can sort of reminisce back to when you applied and what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm fortunate that Lauren from Coralus she's supported me with some coaching over the years, which has all been remote because she lives in America. And I happened to be at an event just 2 weeks ago, and I got to meet Lauren in person, which was really fabulous. So I have to give a big shout out. But even with that remote aspect, we have felt so much, such a warm welcome and such a part of a community since we found out and started applying. You know, that it didn't just start when we were fortunate enough to get the loan, but we are in a really warm and generous community. And I don't think it's possible to realize that until you're part of it, because you just don't believe it's too good to be true. I think that's the thing. And we've raised equity investments, and that world is really different. It's male, pale and stale, to be honest. You have to behave in a certain way. You have to be, there's quite a macho, like, we're going to do this and we're going to be great and no, we don't have any weaknesses. And to have that to see that in one camp and think, well, it doesn't fit with our values as a company. You know, we're very much about reinventing the future of work. We found a much closer values alignments in the Coralus community, where we could be vulnerable, we could ask for help, and in return, that helped us grow in confidence and realize that actually there are people out there who can help you, who can listen to you when you're going through the trials and tribulations of being a founder. Yeah, it's one of those things. The more you put in, the more you get out. But yeah, there's a lot to get out of Coralus.
Thank you for sharing. One last question for you is, if you can recall, what was your application experience like?
Radically different from any other application experience. So I couldn't copy and paste from other forms because they didn't ask or want the same stuff. But actually that was really refreshing. It felt a bit odd. I remember going, what did they really? I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to have to type this. Well, that's a bit open and honest, isn't it? Okay, I'll just click send. But even from, you know, we went through the first round and then there was some feedback and people connected and said, oh, well, I really liked your application. And by the way, if you did happen to, whether you get through or not, if you need help in this area, my expertise is this. And I thought, well, that's nice. So I'm going to get some help, even if we don't get selected. And that really was the start of it. And then as we went through the different stages, we met even more people and we got selected and realized actually there's a lot of non-financial support that comes with the financial support. And the point at which we'd found out we'd got the loan, and then actually we were having a really difficult cash flow problem. We had a big equity investment that was going to come. Due diligence, lawyers were taking forever. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make payroll for our care workers. And I sent a WhatsApp and I said, is there any chance the date for our loan? They were like, what's happening? What's going on? And I just said, well, and they're like, right, leave us with us. We'll see what we can do. So just the support, the being on our side, feeling that we had we had people that backed us and they made it happen. So I didn't need to worry about payroll and I could focus on answering the lawyers' questions, and then we landed the rest of the cash. So yeah, right from the very start, it's been a wonderful community to be part of.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. I know that we have 10 more minutes, but Diana has asked a question in the chat, which is, how many hours did you spend actively engaged in the community, and when were you applying, and how much time now per week? And I don't know if I'm going to let you speak in a moment, but I do know that one of the things about this community in general, not just for a venture, is that you're able to step forward when you have capacity, when you have space to receive or give. And then when you're in a tight spot or you're busy or you have other life things happening, you're able to step back with no guilt. And I'd love to hear what that experience is like for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good summary, Finn, and you've probably described that for lots of us. I'd say so. During application, I didn't engage that much with the community because I don't know, I think I was still trying to work out, well, is this real? So in hindsight, my advice would be engage more. And it doesn't actually matter whether your application is successful or not. You won't make a mistake engaging with the community because you will find connections that are there, whether you are successful getting a loan or not. And you might apply again another year and know more because of that support. So we were kind of on the periphery when we were applying. And since then, because that's been over 2 years ago, it's really varied. So for instance, we went through a tough time when, well, not tough, it's been good coming out of it, but I founded BelleVie with my good friend VLN, and we went through a lot together. And then she was finding it quite difficult at one stage, and she ended up making the decision to move away from BelleVie. And she sits on our board, and she's a massive support, and we're still really good friends. So it's worked out well. But that was a tough period to go for. And somebody in the Coralus community had said, oh, I'm in the UK, I'm willing to help ventures. My day job is a coach. I'll like gift some coaching hours. I looked her up online. She's very expensive. No way were we going to afford her time. And I was talking to Lauren quite regularly, but my co-founder and COO didn't, she wasn't regularly speaking to a coach. And I said, well, this has been offered to me because they know me because I'm engaged in the community, but I think you need to work out what's right for you. Like, so you can rant about whatever you want. Like, that's a different conversation to the one you're gonna have with me. And so she had a really good coaching session with someone who dug into her why and what she needed, someone who is separate from our startup, who she could be really honest and frank with at no cost to us. And we all made better decisions as a result of that. So it's just one case where actually we were really closely involved, and then there's been months where we don't say anything. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much, Trudie, for your time and for being here and for sharing your story. I'm going to pass it back to Esme to close us, but thank you so much. This was really lovely to get to see you, and I'm so glad you got to see Lauren in person.
Yeah, and it's good to see you again, Finn. It's been too long.
Yes, 100%.
We mainly email. This is nicer.
100%.
Wonderful, amazing. I just want to check if anyone else has any questions or any reflections or any thoughts. Kate, is that hand waved or elbow on the chair?
Sorry, technology is doing me in. This is, of course, I'm sitting here so inspired and so wanting to jump in, but just really practically, given that the deadline is on Sunday, how long does the application, give or take to write?
The application is, so Vicky had mentioned earlier that it's 10 questions. It's actually 7, so it's even less.
Better.
And we've had people apply pretty much like 15 minutes before the deadline. So this is something that you can definitely do. If you're clear about what you do and why you do it and why you wake up every day, and like you can pour messages from your heart in the application, like you don't need to pull big numbers or anything. It shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes.
Oh gosh, okay, that's
Very speedy. Besides just, collecting founder information, it's 7 questions at the core.
great. Okay, that's doable on Sunday then.
Yeah, I see a lot of people shocked here.
Yeah.
It's also like we also have to unlearn our expectations. Not every application is going to take us 2 months, like an Innovate UK application, right? Some increasingly foundations and trusts and funders appreciate that we don't have much time. And actually, Coralus is a fantastic example. They meet you where you are in terms of available.
We made the application to be as simple and straight to the point, because Vicky actually created the application because she was so tired of, one of the reasons is she was so tired of applying to all these things that took hours and hours, and she would just be like, well, I'm just chucking that into the void and who knows if I'll hear back. So that was one of her reasonings for making it so short, is like, we don't want other people to go through the same feeling and the same process. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and Kate, you definitely have all of that information, so you should definitely be putting in an application.
Yes, having written an Innovate one, I'll do anything. Just far away from that as possible.
Definitely. We have some Innovate money as well, Kate, and they like opposite extremes. Just it's the reverse. Yeah, completely different. It's a joy. Whereas those Innovate applications, they're awful, aren't they? I have sleepless nights on them.
Okay, I'm excited.
Sorry, can I ask, this is for Esme. Did you mention we will have on the database some other examples of loan or impact loan providers?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because you're already a member, aren't you? So yes, on
Yes.
on our database, we are adding in different loan providers, more commercial loan providers, more impact loans. So we will be adding those in the next few months, as we would also do our own due diligence on who we think we should feature. All right, thank you for the question. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up and try and give us back a couple of minutes, so maybe you can also eat, because I know this is lunchtime for some of you. So thank you so much for joining today and giving us your hour. Thank you for Coralus, especially Finn, who has woken up at 4 a.m. So I'm not sure how much more committed you can be. Thank you, and also Rita for joining. Thank you so much for Trudie. Do follow Trudie. Do get involved in what she does. I just enjoyed learning more about you. I've known you. I know you were one of our early community members, and you won our first competition.
No, I got a book. It's fab. It's above the awards.
It is a great book. So lovely to hear more about you, and I hope we will see lots of applications from some of you. I hope you can see why we featured Coralus, why we think it's so important to hear that there is a world outside what you know, and actually just how surprised some of you might be that there are funders who get it, who want to support you, who are meeting you where you are. We'll focus on the systemic change and focus on the ideas, the amazing ideas that so many of you have, and are not going to think that you are, mad for pursuing things that feel a little bit different and a little bit wonky shaped. So thank you so much, and we will see you all at another event. Bye, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you.